I normally start out these cold opens with a pithy comment, but really all I can say is that this one was for Chadwick, and I think they made him proud. Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is Emcee Frodis, and I've seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. There will be spoilers in this review, so be wary. Ryan Coogler and the other creatives behind this film had a Herculean task ahead of them, filling the gap left by the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. While there has been controversy around the choice not to recast and to kill off T'Challa off screen, I think they absolutely made the correct choice in this instance. The sacred timeline version of T'Challa needed to pass with Boseman. Now, I think an argument can be made for recasting the voice actor for variants of T'Challa in What If, but that's neither here nor there in this review. I think everyone was so heartbroken and shocked by Boseman's death that it wouldn't have been right to continue on as if nothing had ever happened. Despite the difficulty of losing a collaborator and friend, Coogler was able to craft a beautiful study in grief within the confines of a comic book action movie. The movie focuses on Shuri, who is unable to move on from T'Challa's death, blaming herself for not being able to use her scientific knowledge to save his life. There is such a heartbreaking realism to this, despite Shuri trying to recreate basically a magic plant to heal him. I think that genre movies, particularly comic book movies, are often dismissed as unrealistic fluff. But in truth, we can accept all of the larger-than-life trappings as long as the emotion is genuine. And that's what's happened in this scene and in this film as a whole. So many people who lose loved ones are sure that there's something that they can do to make the person they're losing better. Not only is Shuri trying to use her skills in science, but she's praying to Bast. And tragically, Shuri is so wrapped up in what she's doing that she misses saying goodbye to T'Challa. Again, this is realism. For anyone who has lost a loved one in this manner, we can identify with what Shuri and Ramonda are going through. And then we get our Marvel Studios logo, and it's all images of Boseman, and I started to lose it. I didn't realize how much I was going to miss him. I did enjoy him in all of his appearances, but it hit me like a gut punch that we weren't going to get to see him again. T'Challa's death is the driving force behind this movie, but the film is not all about him. It's about those around him trying to move on from this devastating loss. And it works, because Boseman may have been the heart of Black Panther, but they gave him a supporting cast that is more than capable of carrying a film on their own. Letitia Wright is able to shift from snarky but supportive younger sister to an angry, grieving young woman who has lost faith due to the losses she's suffered. Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda gets an increase in her character from her previous appearances as both a woman trying to hold her country together and as a mother trying to counsel her remaining child while dealing with her own grief. While struggling with the loss of not only T'Challa but the Black Panther, Wakanda is threatened by Namor, the mutant king of the underwater city of Talokan. Namor and his people are reimagined from the comics, connecting them to the Mayans. This change makes an interesting subtext to the movie, as there are two powerful groups of people of color who make up the main storyline, and the crux of their conflict stems from them wanting to combat white oppression and the stealing of their resources, but instead they turn against each other. The white oppression comes in the form of Julie Louis-Dreyfus's Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. And I think this is one of the few failings of the movie. Fontaine's want to take vibranium from both Wakanda and Talokan doesn't lead anywhere. It seems more like setup for future films than anything else, and also maybe like somebody from Disney Marvel got nervous by the idea of everyone in the movie being a person of color, so they wanted to throw in Dreyfus and Martin Freeman. But I think they could have easily cut a majority of that plotline out, and nothing would have been lost. And they should have considered cutting it, because this was a very long movie. I think there needed to be some judicious editing, particularly in the middle section. The introduction of Riri Williams did feel more like just an introduction for her own series than something that truly carried the plot along. While they do fit her in, once she ends up in Wakanda, she doesn't really do anything aside from participate in the final melee battle. That's not to say I didn't enjoy her, as Dominique Thorne was charming in this role, and I look forward to seeing the Ironheart series. But the main conflict is with Namor, who is played with charming sympathy by Tenoch Huerta. The Black Panther series has done an amazing job with its villains, giving them complex and understandable reasons for their antagonism. What makes Namor so wonderful is that his motivation is the exact same as Wakanda's itself, just wanting their people to be left alone and not stripped mined of the resources that enrich their country. There's also a chemistry between Namor and Shuri that is off the charts. If there aren't already 20 enemies to lover fix over on Archive of Our Own, fandom has failed. For a movie entitled Black Panther, the Black Panther is missing from this movie for a majority of it, and I think that works in its favor. It helps increase the sense of loss from T'Challa's death. There isn't even a lot of talk about someone taking up the mantle, as they think it's impossible. Until it finally is. So much of Phase 4 of the MCU has been about passing on mantles, with many of the movies and television series focusing on how to pick up the pieces following the Infinity War, where so many heroes died or chose to retire. Of course, there has been a lot of discourse about the choice of the new Black Panther, and honestly, I don't think they could have made another choice. Shuri was the Black Panther for a while in the comics, and it fits so naturally with her character journey over the film. I know there have been people calling for Killmonger or M'Baku to be the Black Panther, but both of these choices seemed ludicrous to me, and more of an excuse to not have a woman take the mantle. The Sacred Timeline's Killmonger is dead. Connecting it to the multiverse saga by bringing in a variant of Killmonger would have felt cheap and taken away some of the intimacy of this story. As for M'Baku doesn't even worship the Panther god. Do I think M'Baku should get powers? Yes! Especially now that they've got the heart-shaped herb regrown. But I think rather than becoming the Black Panther, M'Baku needs to take his mantle of Man-Ape, but in an heroic version as opposed to his villainous comic counterpart. This is a fantastic movie, walking a careful tightrope between the typical Marvel action and a deep emotional story. It really succeeded, and I think it's a solid entry in the franchise. With the length, I totally understand anyone who doesn't want to go out to see it in theaters, especially since it will probably be a shortened window, if not the 45-day window that has been typical of the MCU lately. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is one of the strongest cinematic entries in Phase 4, and I look forward to seeing more of these characters now that they've come into a new place in their storyline. So comment down below with your thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. We're already moving towards the next goal of 250, and I'd love to hit it. I do videos about Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars, and lots of other geeky things. I've just launched a new daily short series called The Headcanon Minute with Marvelous Mondays. If you want to support me, please visit my Patreon. You can also buy me a coffee, or you can go to my Redbubble and TeePublic to buy my geeky graphic designs. You can find me on all platforms, as well as social media, as Emcee Frodis. So until next time, live long, and may the Force be with you.